Yo, Jesse Rodriguez
Beluga
coming at you
Heights.
with a hip hop beat made from Las Palmas.
So this is a story all about how the In the Mix of podcast is about to go down. We're going to talk about some West Brom to Burnley, Sheffield Wednesday. No, just Burnley.
Okay. Well, hopefully that doesn't come back in copyright because I'm keeping that in. Ladies and gentlemen,
No.
welcome to the In the Mixer podcast. I'm here with Michael, Phil, which is me. I'm with myself, and Elias as well.
Yeah,
we're here,
fuck.
feeling ourselves, man.
Filling ourselves.
Filling ourselves.
That's a pun.
We're
That's
full of
fun.
it. Filling it.
That's your pun for this week's intro.
Oh,
Yeah,
I haven't even
none
done a
of the
proper
puns.
intro. I haven't had
Yeah,
time.
you set the bar last week, and now this week's podcast is just poor.
Oh, sorry. Did you hear last week's podcast?
Yeah.
You cut out twice. It made it look like you were lagging and I wasn't. It was brilliant. Yeah, so apologies for lack of audio quality. We're hoping to up that. You know, when you all move down here and we can just have a studio in, where I live. That way.
Yeah, we have to move down.
You have to move down
to
to
the very tip of the country. Not you move up to the
I
hub
have a
of the
son.
north.
I have responsibilities.
Yeah, I've
Right,
Shut up.
okay, nice. Speaking of responsibilities, there's a responsibility to cover football in this podcast, and I'm going to be the one to drive that ship in that direction. But first, I'm going to ask you how you're both doing.
Well, I'm doing pretty well, and you probably know why.
You've got a week off again.
I got a week off.
Every time he does this podcast, he seems to have a week off. I think Elias is secretly unemployed.
That might be true, and might not be true.
I'm
But-
good.
Also, the football results today have really
Don't
been in
spoil
my
it.
favour.
Don't spoil it.
I'm not spoiling. I'm just saying that
Don't spoil
AIK
it.
won 3-0 against Östersund, which
Well,
are
that's a spoiler.
just in the last round of the Europa League playoffs. So good luck to them,
Wow.
even after losing.
I'm mixed. I mean, Schalke had a fantastic. I'm getting it in there early. Schalke had a fantastic victory against Leipzig. Played the game plan perfectly. Birmingham, on the other hand, didn't do too well against Burton and the Lloyd Dyer show.
Okay.
It's alright because it wasn't broadcast on national television for everyone to see.
Nice mention of two non-Premier League teams there in this technically three non-Premier League. I suppose Birmingham used to be, but Schalke and AIK have never.
When was
in
that?
the
I
Premier
can't
League.
even remember that.
What do you mean?
Roman
When was that?
Pavlyuchenko
Don't do that.
relegated them.
Don't you?
When Roman Pavlyuchenko relegated them and when Obafemi Martins single-handedly won them the League Cup. Well, technically, Lauren Koscielny and Obafemi Martins won them the League Cup.
Can we
this
talk
season.
about? Can we
How
talk
has
about
that
Tottenham
got a
losing now?
mention? Hey, what? What are we talking about?
Tottenham losing?
Tottenham. Okay, well, we'll move straight into that then. So, off to Wembley Way then. Spurs played Chelsea second versus first, I suppose. Not really first versus second. It is if it's the other way around, but yeah. This is Chelsea's second trip to Wembley in 3 games.
Wow.
So, whose home ground is it? That's what I wanna know.
Yeah, that you can claim that one.
You
Yeah.
can say third in
However-
4 games as well, if you mention actual competitions
We don't want to mention
with the
those.
FA Cup. All right.
Did the pre-season not count?
No, it doesn't count because it's not competition.
But what about all those trophies that Arsenal won?
Trophies.
Trophies.
I said
Alright.
that with fudge in my mouth as well.
It's really difficult when you can hear yourself. So yeah, Spurs 1, Chelsea 2. An interesting display from the champions. I mean, I just want to say Chelsea so good last season at catching teams on the counter attack, and that very much was this game. I don't know if I'll go to Elias because he watched it with without tears in his eyes. So he will be able to give more of a better analysis. But Chelsea seemed to be much more clinical on the counter-attack and took their chances very well, the limited ones they have. I'll just go, Elias.
Well, I was close to tears when Batshuayi's got their own goal because the last 3 games of our Wembley journeys would have been just 2-1 losses to 2 late goals, and I would have probably just crawled underneath my bed and just been there for the rest of my life. But it was a frustrating game, probably from both sides. Probably probably for Spurs fans because
they lost.
obviously, lost and Chelsea had the lead for the most of the game. But could have been 2-0 up, really, with Morata missing a pretty decent chance in the first half, pretty early on. And a bit disappointed with his first half, but he really tried to make a difference in the second half when he started running with the ball and challenging Alderweireld and Vertonghen. And I don't know. I don't really know what to say. Just sat back and watched the game move on, and Spurs didn't take the chances. That's pretty much how the game went.
I mean, the Spurs chances weren't like gilt-edged chances. I actually thought Chelsea did really well soaking up the Tottenham pressure and all the possession and territory that Spurs had. They didn't actually really make any gilt-edged chances. The goal that they scored was very fortunate. I think it was deflection, and then sort of Batshuayi just sort of.
It was no deflection. No.
Oh, there was, so he just headed it straight in his own goal. Well, it's nice to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, if there was going to be a goal for Spurs in that game, it will come through a little bit of luck like that, or just I'm not really sure what Batshuayi was trying to do. I mean, he's obviously trying to get it past the near post, but he's just come on, But we won't talk about that. We'll talk about the really nice goal, the Marcos Alonso free kick. Michael, did you see? What did you think? What did you think of this beautiful free kick that nestled right in that top corner?
Got a little bit of a story with it too. So I was actually on the coach back from Birmingham, just completely irrelevant. But my friend actually had a bet on the first goal to be a free kick, and I was listening to the commentary and it said free kick, and I went, "Oh, Chelsea have scored from a free kick!" Like completely lying to him. And he's looking on Betsy's side, like, "Oh no, they haven't. It's not even goal." I was like, "No, the radio's ahead." And then obviously it turned out that they did actually score from the free kick, so I can predict the future.
Yeah, but no one knows that because they just assumed you already seen it.
But I told him after.
Okay.
It was a great free kick. It was a really good free kick, but I don't know.
Yeah, can I say something? Yeah, I have never seen Marcos Alonso miss a free kick, like not hit the target with a free kick. He either hits the bar, the keeper makes an incredible save, or he scores. I have never seen him miss the target, which is really impressive.
Yeah, he's definitely becoming an asset for Chelsea in that position, especially when you have players like Pedro, Hazard, and Willian, who are gonna win a lot of free kicks around the penalty area. He's definitely a great asset to have, and is probably staking his claim as the main free kick taker now over William, probably for Chelsea.
Definitely.
But the winner is so against the run. So the events begin. Chelsea start a counter-attack. Kane tries to take down Kante, who's about half his size, and then someone Kante shakes him off, which I'm not actually sure how that happens. I'm not sure if Kane got booked for that. He should have. And then Spurs, I think the chance is wasted. Spurs go try and attack again with a quick throw from Lloris, and is it Sissoko or Dembele who loses the ball?
No, it's Wanyama.
Wanyama loses the ball?
Yeah.
And then Spurs are just all at sea, who at this point I think are playing a back four of Trippier, Wanyama, Alderweireld and Vertonghen in that order across the line. I can't remember if we were playing Moussa Sissoko right back at one point. I think we probably were.
I have no idea. You brought him on. I didn't see him at once, so yes, as usual.
He looked like a player hungry to score, I tell you. And then some shocking goalkeeping by Lloris, really. He'll be really upset with that. So 3 points to Chelsea and 2 goals for Marcos Alonso, who no one in the mix of Fantasy League has him in their team, which I'm very happy about.
I have a question. Bet365 just cleared this up for me. I had the second goal to be a header. The second goal was scored via a header.
But
it's not being paid.
It's an own goal.
But it was a header.
But own goal's an option to bet on.
Yeah,
Can we stop mentioning specific betting sites as well until we're getting paid?
I mean, sorry. A very popular green-based betting site.
Paddy Power?
Yes.
That's Irish green, different. I don't know. I'm gonna take this to High Court and see what you guys. I'll let you know next week.
Okay. What the result of the football match?
They tweeted back saying, "Hi, the second goal was an own goal, so this bet will be settled as a loss." I know that.
Probably something that should be discussed after we record. Okay, we'll move on away from that fiasco. Wow. Wembley, what a stadium. Anyway, apparently Spurs were playing some sort of drum beat over the speakers.
You
Which
can hear that.
Which ironically you can really hear because the crowd was actually already making loud noise. But it was just some weird sort of thudding.
It's not West Ham, like.
Yeah, and the ones, like, if you're going to play music, don't play it when you're in probably against your biggest rivals at the moment. Play it when you're, like, at home to, like, no disrespect, but Brighton.
Say Burnley.
Burnley. Well, no, yeah, but yeah, when the crowd are a bit stale and there's only 40,000 in there.
Oh, don't diss Burnley. They actually beat Chelsea.
Well, Spurs. Who would have thought that Spurs playing against 11 men would be harder than playing against 10, and Chelsea playing with 11 men would be easier than playing with 9? I wouldn't have predicted that.
I'd have predicted the latter, but
Yeah.
Well, they both. Okay, anyway, we'll move on to the next game. A team that did play with 11 men could go to any game here. I'll go to Man United. 4-0, top of the league. 2 4-0 wins at the start of the season. What do you guys want to say? It seemed like a very Mourinho performance up until about the 80th minute mark, where Swansea
Flattering.
Flattering.
I think it's flattering. I think the game was. I think the game was very much like an open game up until probably like the 70th minute.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Like I like Swansea definitely had their chances.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
Swansea. Like going into half time, Swansea could have been in front. I think Ayew had a really good chance.
Yeah, Ayew hit the bar with a really strange outside
Yeah,
of the foot
Abraham
cross.
had a free header.
Yeah.
And
I
just
think
like
Bartley had a header as well.
yeah, like Swansea had really good opportunities, and obviously, and I thought the first goal was also really unlucky. I think Swansea were just sleeping a little bit. Yeah.
But Pogba's in that team. They're a very physical side, and from corners they're always going to cause problems. I think it was Pogba's header, which did it hit the bar and then come down?
No.
bundled
Fabianski
in?
made an incredible save. Like all game, he hadn't been that. He hadn't been that like. I was actually saying. I was watching it with that he hadn't been sort of like dominating his area too well, and I think that could have been like where a goal could come from. But brilliant save for I think it was Pogba's header. I did find it funny. In the commentary, and he said, "Oh, and Lukaku was involved, but he did nothing for the first goal." He's just like the price tag that's obviously been put on him. Commentators are also still desperate to get it in there. I'm pretty sure Lukaku was just sort of stood around doing nothing because the ball went over the top of him. But yeah.
Fabianski, although he scored 4, is becoming a very big. He's a mainstay now at Swansea. He must have been there at least 5 seasons now. He's doing very well for them. I wonder if he'll definitely be one to go if Swansea can't turn this poor start to the season around. Did you hear about the Rashford boos?
No.
Oh well, Rashford was getting booed off the park. Go on, Elias. You can take it.
Rashford. I have an interesting insight from my dad, actually, who has been criticised.
Always nice to get a mention.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he actually mentioned that in the preseason, Rashford is shooting so much more than he did last season, and he's actually just hogging the ball in positions where he could have just let it go and I don't know, just pass the ball, just get it out of his feet. But he's becoming more selfish. I don't know if he's trying to like make a name for himself, like a more established player, and just trying to compete with Martial.
I'd like to counter that just with a point of perhaps Mourinho's asking the team in general to take more shots because they're such a physical side and perhaps win more corners that way. Maybe that's the reason. But if it's specifically Rashford, then that's
because that's why he's been just seeing that he's becoming more of a ball hog and just not making the chances where he really could have let the ball go and just make it goal scoring opportunities for his teammates instead of just going for a lucky shot or just a finish instead. So I don't know, like if it's something that Mourinho said to him or if he's just changed completely in his mindset, because I remember Rashford as a really non-selfish player who makes good runs for his teammates to get them into positions, but I don't know.
He missed one. He missed one big chance. I remember he missed like a couple of chances, obviously, but like there was one big chance where he just sort of scooped the ball straight into Fabianski's hands as well.
Perhaps he's a bit frustrated being forced to play out on the wide position. Obviously, you would be a young player coming through. You've seen the likes of like Kane at Tottenham coming through the ranks. He's come through the ranks at Man United. He's seen Ibrahimovic go, and he's probably thinking, right, it's my time to step up. And then they see this other striker come in for big money, which is always going to happen at Man United. And I think you have to kind of expect that in that sort of position. But perhaps it's a bit of frustration setting in from him. I don't think that would ever get to the point where he'd want to leave, but it would be interesting to see in perhaps a season or two if he does get fed up playing out wide and if he wants a more central role.
Do you think he'd take like a loan move?
I don't think United would let him go on a loan.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any point because he can provide so much for them, and as he's proved already this season.
But do you now think that obviously the way it goes is there's a substitute and Martial's coming on as proving a point when he is coming on? Do you think Mourinho will put him into the starting lineup now and Rashford will be dropped and become the super sub? Because I know it's always been sort of similar between those two. They've both sort of been the super subs to come on.
Well, we'll get to Martial in a sec. I just want to quickly talk before we get onto those 3 goals near the end. Quickly go back to the Pogba yellow card and possible second yellow card. If either of you think he could have gone for that tackle, if either of you saw it.
I personally wouldn't have argued if he had been sent off, but I'm not disgruntled that he didn't either. He did just sort of overrun the ball, and there wasn't any malice in it whatsoever. It was just him working hard to try and win the ball back. I think he'd lost it, hadn't he? But either way, it was just sort of he just overstepped into the tackle really, just to try and win the ball back. I don't. Maybe if he wasn't on a yellow card, it'd have been a yellow card. But I don't know. For me, probably the right decision was made. I don't think being sent off would have been necessary.
Okay.
It was just one of those that could have gone either way. I wouldn't have been disgruntled either side of it, to be honest.
Okay. Man United made it 2-0 quickly. Mkhitaryan with a lovely little assist, finding Lukaku, who had acres of time and space and slotted it home clinically.
It was a big mistake, I think, was it Norton that gave away the ball?
I can't remember.
Just poor positional play, really, because there was 2 or 3 defenders who's going towards the ball and leaving Lukaku. Yeah, exactly.
This is what I mean. This
really
is why I said it was flattering. Yeah, it was. He didn't panic at all, but that's what I mean. It was flattering. It's like in that Swansea made the mistake for that goal, and then just sort of completely fell apart from there. They just sort of even from the moment the mistake was made, their defense just sort of capitulated, and Lukaku to be given that much space, and it's not like he was like on. He was on the penalty spot. Somebody has to be defending there, but and it sort of went downhill from there. Really, that's why I said it was flattering. I think.
I heard a few people making the point that this perhaps would have been a game that Manchester United would have lost last season. Perhaps drew last season.
Drawn,
so obviously they drew at home to Swansea last season after being 1-0 up or 1-0 down? I can't remember, but they drew or lost. I can't remember. They didn't win basically. So perhaps this is a sign of them growing together as a team and that quality coming through. And it is early days, but all teams are going to be rusty defensively. Pogba scored a very nice finish, sort of lifted it over and into the net, and Martial, we'll move on to that now, Michael. Martial coming on, scoring the 4th. I don't know what you thought of this. You obviously thought he's got a thing to prove. I don't know whether at this point managers perhaps putting players in the shop window that they're not too fond of, but then I could be reading it completely wrong. I don't know what you guys think of. Well, Michael's made his points. What about his point? What about you, Elias? What do you think about the Martial's cameo appearance?
Well, before the game, I heard Mourinho said that we're going to get to see a lot more Martial this season than we did last season. So I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Is that a comment that he's going to move and get a first team spot, or is he just going to play him more? Like you never know with Mourinho. Really, it's just Mourinho, and I think Martial, he really showed what he can do in that team with his goal, because that's what Martial does the best. Just cut in and score that. He's so quick with the ball when he moves sideways, and I think he should get that starting spot on the left wing.
His goal was almost like Hazard-esque, the way he sort of he dummies the inside but still goes inside kind of thing, just tempting defenders towards him. If he can keep doing that, if do you know what I mean? Sort of that dummy that I'm going to go further, then sort of does continue to go further. I think if he can make it in the first, if Mourinho gives him the chance in the first team, and if he can make it like that, I think he'll definitely stay in the first team. But I don't personally think that Mourinho would be happy keeping him as a super sub, because I don't think Martial would also be happy with that if he's sort of proven himself off the bench. So I don't know. I think it could be an interesting situation in January. Right now, I think it's a good situation for United to have.
I think the problem with Martial letting him go as well is the fee, probably, because they bought him for a lot of money.
Yeah,
they don't want to let him go for much.
Wouldn't make that back. Yeah.
And did you guys see we'll end on this, the Mourinho cigar,
Oh yeah.
cigarette sort of motion. Interesting.
What? I did not see that.
Oh, we'll put it on the Twitter later. Basically, he sort of mimics smoking a cigarette or cigar at full time.
Oh,
I think it was one of his staff members. I don't think it was Clement. It was the back of someone I saw anyway. I'll put that on the Twitter later for you lovely people and Elias.
Wow. Okay, that's harsh.
We'll move on to one of our musical parts of the show.
What?
Jesse Rodriguez. What a man. Rapping extraordinaire.
JM.
Yeah.
JM, I don't know, yeah.
JM. What a guy. A man of many talents. Rapping, fashion, scoring against Arsenal. Fantastic performance by him. I don't know if you guys agree. I thought he was actually added so much to Stoke, isolated each one of the three defenders at different points of the game, and really made a difference with his pace and dribbling to the Stoke side from what we saw against Everton in game week 1.
He looked like a good Shaqiri.
Yeah. No, I actually agree in that
he
was making runs, but also was running with the ball at defenders, like a very confident play. And he played really well. I think he put just so much pressure on that Arsenal defence, which is obviously not solid. And it's obviously, I think we spoke about that last week, and it's obviously not a practice back 3-5 whatever. So I think
3-5 whatever.
3-5-7-12.
Isn't that by the Offspring? No, the other guy, Liam Lynch.
What?
What? It's we have gone completely musical. But no, I think he had a great game as well. Definitely added something that wasn't particularly Stoke-esque to a Stoke team.
Well, you say that, but Stoke do have players who can come up with one performance a season. This could be Jesse's. They've also had Shaqiri, of course, Arnautovic as well, who is proven he's not very consistent at West Ham. We'll get onto that later.
Kurt Zouma. I want to talk about Kurt Zouma.
We'll get onto.
Great
well,
game.
Okay, yeah, just go to Zuma. Go to Zuma.
To come back from he's so good. He's so incredible. I can't get over how strong the guy is. I'm pretty sure people are bouncing off him on the halfway line after he dribbled a good sort of 20 yards. He's an absolute monster. He's his position is good enough. If he's not in that Chelsea team soon, I don't know. He's ridiculous. I know his injury was a huge impact. Had a huge impact on his so far Chelsea career, but he's absolutely ridiculous. I thought his performance yesterday was ridiculous.
No, it's interesting to say about that because obviously Chelsea were short on numbers today, but obviously Azpilicueta, Christensen, and Rudiger all had very good games. But yeah, he's definitely gonna be in the excuse me, when he comes back from that loan, he's definitely going to be in that mix-up of Chelsea defenders. And were you because he signed the contract before he left, obviously? But Elias, were you surprised when Chelsea did let him go, especially I can't remember if it was after the the Cahill suspension and things, but definitely, did you think it was a surprise when he did leave Chelsea on loan?
I think it's a surprise looking at what kind of bench we have now. We got Fikayo Tomori, the under-21 English centre-back. That's pretty much what we have in defensive way, with Christensen, of course, jumping in now when Cahill is suspended. But other than that, we have nothing to put in centre-back if one gets suspended and the other gets injured. So, the worst scenario, we'll have to either sign somebody before the window is over, or we have to call somebody back from loan, because the squad is way too shallow now, and Zuma leaving definitely marks that as well. So I was a bit surprised because I think that Zuma is I wouldn't say a better player than Christensen, but he's definitely more established because he's played in Premier League before and actually did a good job. But I don't know if it's Conte not wanting to take the risk with not knowing what kind of fitness he's in after his injury.
That was the point I was going to make. I was going to sort of cut to saying that maybe it's clever by Conte in that he realises he's going to get complete first team football at Stoke, and where he'll be able to gauge his fitness, he'll be able to slowly sort of work his way back to 100% fitness, and he'll be able to gauge how good Zuma is when he comes back to Chelsea, rather than sort of working him back in, maybe not 100%, etc., etc. So in that respect, I think it's clever. But like you said, he couldn't have predicted the Cahill situation either. I don't know. I think it's leaving yourself without cover is always stupid. But I think with the injury that he had, breaking him in that way maybe have been a good decision.
Speaking of injuries and fitness, nice to see Jack Butland back in a Stoke shirt, and what a game he had.
He's so good.
Really well.
England's number one. Super Jackie Butland.
He probably will be now at this point.
Bit Birmingham biased, but no, for a few years he's been knocking on that door. He's just
such a shame that injury last
yeah,
season.
it really was, because that's when he like really hit form as well. So, he's good. It was a good sign in by Stoke.
Are Stoke staying up?
After this performance, I think you've probably got to say yes.
I think, yeah.
But again, it's early days. It is early days, but they showed something in this game which they didn't show against Everton, and what we didn't think they had. But they definitely did have some.
Now.
Sorry.
They just have a drive now. Like, we were doubting Berahino, weren't we, in where the goals are going to come from? But if they have players driving from midfield, and I know the signing of Choupo-Moting, like Choupo-Moting's always been like relatively average, even at Schalke, but he's still a really well international experienced player. That like goals will come from him, and they just have a lot of. I think they have a lot of attacking midfielders now, and obviously they've got Fletcher and Allen who aren't as attacking, so it's like it does allow that midfield to go forward and join the attack.
Yeah, because I tipped them to go down, and I don't know if I want to stay with that or not, but I'm gonna stay with that for a few more weeks at least and see how they do. But
yeah, because Right, we've spoken about Stoke, we've given them some praise. Let's talk about Arsenal now, because they definitely had chances in this game. Stoke definitely, I mean, they look good at the back. Obviously, Zuma and Butland played well. Arsenal had chances. Arsenal had some great chances. Also, did you see the penalty incident on Bellerin?
I didn't see it.
Oh, well, basically, I think Bellerin rounded him, or the ball fell to him, and Juve sort of went up for a header or something and slipped, and it sort of went legs first into Bellerin, clattered him. And I think that probably could have been a penalty. Also, did you see the Lacazette disallowed goal?
Yeah, it wasn't offside, was it?
I think it was so. He's such the tiniest bit offside.
Is he? I saw it, I was watching it. I wasn't watching it at home. I was watching it on a smaller screen.
It's because he's
but
literally.
It looks like he wasn't.
It's because he's literally next to the last defender. When they put that line across, you can literally see he is the tiniest toe offside. But then I feel like if that had stayed, been given, I think there wouldn't have been problems. So Arsenal definitely had their chances. So I don't know if this is perhaps a flattering win for Stoke or not. We'll have to wait and see what the future holds, and definitely a dent in Arsenal's top four or championship hopes, whatever they're going for this season.
Yeah.
So from a 1-goal game to a 5-goal thriller, Southampton West Ham. 3-2.
Game.
Yeah, hell of a game. Well, I'll just let you go if you want. I feel like you have some strong points to make on this, and I'll just let you shoot from the hip at the start of this.
I want to start off with the two-goal goal machine. Chicharito, of course. I feel so sorry for him, because to bring that back with 10 men after Arnautovic gets sent off so stupidly, there's been so many stupid red cards already in this Premier League campaign, and if it continues like this, I don't know what the disciplinary board are going to do, but
they have to bring out orange cards or something, blue cards.
Yeah, something like that, video referee.
I just want to quickly come in on the Arnautovic red card, because it's so stupid, like you said. He claims he gets elbowed by Lamina. I think Lamina just jumps in with his arm ahead. I don't think there's any malice, any force. But then he goes on and elbows someone else. I thought if you were going to have a bit of retribution, you'd at least elbow the guy that elbowed you.
It's like prison rules. Somebody starts to fight and then everyone just goes along with it.
I just didn't understand it at all. But like you said, completely stupid decision. But Chicharito, didn't he take his goals well? 2 poacher goals, both rebounds. Forster probably could have done better with the first one.
Such Chicharito goals, just easy goals.
Exactly.
That's why he signed for West Ham. They need a goal scorer. They need somebody who scores those easy goals and
stays fit.
Exactly, stays fit as well. When they get Andy Carroll back, I think they're going to be an interesting side. Just that they need a creative midfielder. They lack a Payet or something like that who actually plays him through.
Yeah.
Because to lose the game like that after being 10 men for most of the game, to come back from 2-0 down.
Oh yeah.
It's such a heartbreaker to see that penalty like Zabaleta did in the 92nd. It's just, yeah, it's so hard.
What did you think on that penalty? Soft.
I think it's soft, but it's justified. I think I think it's a penalty, but of course, referees have their own world, and they can do whatever they want. So,
well, they have to interpret it, obviously.
It's either a penalty or it's not. Like, it's justified, and it's
That attacking midfielder thing you brought up last week as well. Do you think? Obviously, Lanzini's out injured. Do you think he's the question? He's the answer to that question.
From what kind of ending he had to the season, I can see him becoming a really big player in the Premier League, because I was really impressed by how well he's adapted. Because he's not a big player. He's more of a, I would say, a Bojan type for Stoke. He's not tall, he's not strong, but he's definitely got that touch. He also got the speed. Yeah, exactly.
Just get away from him.
Yeah, I think that they're lacking something like that, but they also need somebody else to cover in when he can't play or when he's not in form, or they just need somebody to create something. And that's what they bought Arnautovic, of course, but if Arnautovic is going to keep doing the stuff that Arnautovic does, then, they're not going to have him for many games this season.
Yeah. I'm just quickly looking up if that Arnautovic suspension... I don't think
it's probably going to be more than 3.
Yeah, it's going to be a couple. Also, the Charlie Austin penalty at the end he scored. I just like to. I don't know if you know about this, but Joe Hart obviously dived right. Charlie Austin went to Joe Hart's left. He actually said in the post-match interview he was going to go to Joe Hart's right, so Joe Hart would have saved it. But Mark Noble came up to him and said in his ear to try and put him off, he knows where you're going. So Charlie Austin actually changed his mind and put it in the other corner.
Wow.
So yeah, I thought that was quite nice. And I think Southampton probably, over the reflection, the whole game probably deserved the win, because almost until the red card they were coasting, even a bit after that. And it was just when they went 2-0 up, Forster made that mistake, Chicharito latched onto it, got that 2-1, and they just had that bit of fight and a bit of energy and really got back into the game. But I think over the course of the 90 minutes, Southampton probably did deserve it, but kind of harsh. But there is life in West Ham this season. They're not completely gone after that. And Southampton, a team who has really struggled to score goals recently, having Austin and Gabbiadini on the score sheet is always good news. What do you think of the Gabbiadini goal? It was a very good move and a nice finish.
Joe Hart should save that.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, there was a bit of analysis that I watched after the game, and you can really see how mispositioned Joe Hart is.
Yeah.
He is so close to the first post. Of course, he wants to cover his post, but that shot is not hard. At all. It might be well placed, but it's definitely a shot that Joe Hart, like a goalkeeper of his caliber, should take. It's like Lloris.
Yeah.
Lloris shot today. Like, you should really be saving those. But I think his movement was really good, especially for that goal, because they need a player that can make those runs. He ran from before the halfway line to their box and scored. Like, he got the ball after, of course. But he makes that sacrifice to make that darting run. Yeah. And if Tadic is on form, if Redmond is on form, then they're definitely going to see that run and get the ball through to him. I think Southampton are looking like a really balanced team. Especially, they didn't play with James Ward-Prowse this game.
No, I know
later. Which I think they should, definitely. But Lemina, of course, took his place. But I think he could move up a bit in the maybe towards that number 10 role, and put Tadic out on the right instead of Stephen Davis, which they played this game. So if they get him in, because I think James Ward-Prowse is one of the best right foots in England right now, and has had for a while, especially on set pieces. If they can get him going, they got a pretty strong side, I'd say. Yeah. Very attacking.
Yeah, it's just those
Lemina,
goals.
Lemina really slotted in. So
yeah, like when they start putting those chances away, like you say, they are definitely a threat for anyone. And of course, they have had some really good seasons since they've been back in the Premier League, and definitely hoping for another good one today. Right, we'll move to former Premier League champions, Leicester City. 2-0 win over Brighton. Tough start for Brighton. Two former Premier League champions coming up against losing against both 2-0. This game started very quickly. An immediate goal for Okazaki. But Matthew Ryan, he's got to be looking at that and be absolutely annoyed with himself. He's coming for a lot of money. They obviously sold Stockdale, and he's got to be frustrated with that.
Definitely, like, Okazaki, of course, scored the goal, but Mahrez' foreplay for that goal was, like, he's really looking like he wants to play football. I don't know if it's just advertising for Roma to come and get him, or if he wants to stay and actually play some Premier League football, but he's looking good, Mahrez, and it's a joy to watch, because if Mahrez is on form, then he's one of the best players in the Premier League.
Yeah, I was actually going to compare that to the Coutinho Alexis sort of side, where they're obviously they're apparently injured, but comparing that, if he does want to leave Mahrez, but he's still putting in performances for Leicester, I think that's a great way to go, and perhaps these other teams should be playing these players that perhaps want to leave, so they can still provide their abilities. What do you think of Brighton then? Again, didn't really create much. They've probably got some more winnable games coming up now. They've got their next Premier League games away to Watford, although we'll talk about them in a minute and how good they look. But then they've got teams like West Brom and Bournemouth and Newcastle after that. So they've definitely got games where they're going to pick up points. I think if you told them they'd get no points after playing Manchester City and Leicester away, I feel like they probably would have gone, yeah, probably, but we'll be all right after that.
Yeah. They didn't look as confident defensively as they did in the Man City game in that first half, but of course they couldn't really park the bus against Leicester as they did with City. Yeah, exactly. So they actually needed to go for that goal, and I just don't know what Brighton are going to bring, like, offensively and just attacking wise, because I don't see the quality really. I don't know what. Like, Glenn Murray is, of course, a really good goal scorer, but is he a goal scorer on Premier League level? He couldn't do it for Palace, so why could he do it for Brighton? So
and even if he is a goal scorer at this level, he needs chances. He needs people to create chances. Like you said, the lack of quality is there. Knockhart, player of the season last season in the Championship, 2 games in. I'm not sure if he's not 100% fit, but started on the bench in both games. So we'll see in these next games. Probably be a fairer reflection of Brighton as a Premier League team over these 4 or 5 fixtures. We'll move on now to Liverpool.
Can I mention one thing as well? Harry Maguire is looking like one of the best signings of the season thus far, because he is an English centre-back who's tall, strong and quick, who's scoring goals for £10 million. That is nothing. And he scored, of course, in this game, the second goal. If he continues to play like this, of course they've played Arsenal, of course, but if he continues to play like this and perform for Leicester, I think they're going to be decent. Yeah.
They do look actually really confident. I was actually I forgot to mention that. I'm pretty sure you said in the transfer, one of our transfer episodes, it'd be a good signing. So kudos to you, Elias.
Thank you.
Some serious kudos. I don't actually know what kudos means. I've never actually but yeah.
Well, that's offensive, probably. That's good.
Probably. One clean sheet to another. Liverpool getting a decent 3 points. No, I don't want to make this into joke. They dominated Crystal Palace. They really did. Palace looking very shaky in these early stages of the season, and perhaps this is a game Liverpool winning we'll look back on and thinking that was a huge 3 points considering how long it took them to break down Crystal Palace.
It was a really lucky goal as well.
It was a bit of a bobble. There was a bit of bobble there through, but Mane making absolutely no mistake. No mistake. But yeah, a really good win. Mane definitely going to be that player for Liverpool this season. If Coutinho goes, Mane's going to be the one they look to. Definitely, you can see that. I think Klopp made 5 changes from the midweek game against Hoffenheim. Obviously, looking forward to that. Is that this upcoming week, or is that next week? I think it's this upcoming week.
This week,
yeah. So they'll be looking to secure that and put back in the main stars like Firmino and Salah. But yeah, Sturridge got a start, so it's nice to see him back fit for them. yeah, so we'll see what they can do against Hoffenheim. But showing that rotation, still getting 3 points. There's definitely positives for Liverpool to take, despite perhaps the lack of goals. But I think when people look at Liverpool, they don't. It's not the goals they worry about. It's the back, and keeping this clean sheet will definitely give confidence to the likes of Mignolet and their other defenders. Anything else you wanna add to that?
Andrew Robertson.
Oh yeah, fantastic debut.
Great game, great crossing. So I don't know. I don't know when Moreno is going to get in the team again, because he really showed why he should take that left back spot. And also Sturridge. It's just Sturridge. I don't know. Good touches he had throughout the game when he actually played, but he has no speed left. I don't know if it's his injuries, or if it's his confidence, or if he just doesn't care anymore, because he has no pace in his legs, and I can't see him playing any longer for Liverpool.
Do you think he'll go this window?
Not this window, but probably in January, definitely.
Because he's 27 now. He's coming. Obviously, he's going to be 30 in a few years. He's got a couple of seasons left in him where he's going to keep his pace, have that bit of pace, and hopefully the injuries haven't worn him down too much. Because on his day, he is a fantastic striker. But it's going to be interesting to see if he does manage to, move away, get moves somewhere, start playing more regularly, and perhaps work on his, find somewhere where his injuries are tended to a bit more, helpful to him.
West Ham.
I mean, they've got Chicharito. They don't need Sturridge right now. Crystal Palace would take him. Sturridge, I tell you.
Yeah,
Benteke.
that's wrong.
Benteke I want to quickly mention, because obviously De Boer is trying this expansive style of football and trying to play a bit more. But obviously when Benteke was at Liverpool, we saw that didn't work for him, and that Liverpool trying to play good football and pass it just sort of, the game sort of passed him by. So him being in a team that's also trying to do that now, perhaps he's not the man to lead Crystal Palace forward. And if Crystal Palace aren't going to be scoring goals, then they're really going to be struggling this season. I mean,
even though after his spell at Liverpool, Benteke, I think he's way too good to play at Palace. He needs more creative players around him, and because last season he actually did a good job to get a few goals for Palace, and I think he could get a few more this season if he actually gets some support from the wings, because Townsend and Loftus-Cheek had a really good defensive game, but of course, as Palace didn't attack that well, there wasn't really anything to do forwards. But I don't know, Van Aanholt is not looking like the Van Aanholt we saw last season, and Townsend is just Andros Townsend, so you can't really do anything with that. It doesn't look like a creative side at all.
Misses Zaha as well now. I'm not sure how long he's out for, but he's going to be a huge miss for Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
So I think these early stages you've got to kind of be wary for them, but we'll see what happens with them in future matches. I think they play in the week actually in the Carabao Cup, the League Cup. So we'll see if they can turn their fortunes around in that game. We'll move to Bournemouth and Watford, two teams that have both signed strikers actually in this transfer window. One started, one didn't. Defoe left on the bench again for Bournemouth. Watford started Andre Gray, and routine win for Watford, kind of, I guess. I'm not really sure Bournemouth created that much, to be honest.
Yeah, not sure really what Bournemouth's plans are for this season, but of course they want to stay up. But I thought they would have a bit more, just potential. I'd say, with spending 20 million on Ake, of course, and signing Begovic, exactly. So it just looks like they want to challenge for something like mid-table, lower mid-table
competition.
Exactly. But they're not looking interesting at all. And Joshua King is not getting the start that he wants to this season, where he left off. And of course, they started Andrew Gray and Richarlison, Watford. Richarlison, who scored with Andrew Gray assists. So
I thought Richarlison was very impressed against Liverpool when he came on as well.
Yeah.
And in this game, I thought he played very well.
Definitely
Was a threat. Amrabat as well in that front three. played quite well. But Kapue,
He's going to score as many goals as
he
did
only
last
scores worldies apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lovely, well taken volley by him. But yeah, like you say, Gray and Richarlison linking up very well for the goal. Did you see the Nathaniel Chalobah dummy?
No, I don't
Basically,
think
I think someone passed. I think it might have actually been Amrabat or Richarlison. I'm not sure who it was, but cut it back. Chalobah sort of running towards the ball to meet it around the edge of the box, like he's going to hit it with his right and bend it in. And then he sort of just lets it roll past him, leaves it, like he's obviously left it. And apparently Harry Arter actually called it. The Bournemouth midfielder said leave it, and he left it, and then he just went away with the ball. Apparently that's a foul. It could be called a foul, but the ref let it go. And
Yeah.
And then straight after that, Chalobah had a one-on-one that he was saved by Begovic. So yeah, that was an interesting moment to say the least. But Bournemouth did have their chances and will be disappointed. And what do you think with the Defoe situation? Do you think that's just the case of Defoe perhaps not being fit, or this is a strategy that Eddie Howe's gonna maintain through the season, bringing Defoe late, trying to get where defences are tired, trying to score goals that way?
I don't know, because I feel Defoe should be starting in that team. I think he's a better player than Benik Afobe, possibly better than Joshua King, can argue that. But I think he should be starting in that team, and he probably has the fitness. It's just like Eddie Howe feels like he could probably be a better super sub than a player for the starting lineup, and I'm not sure I agree with that.
Well, we saw last season him start. He was the only reason Sunderland didn't get relegated in February.
Yeah.
In all honesty, like he was the bright spark of that team, and he was starting every
goals,
game. And he was starting every game. Wasn't coming off the bench. Yeah. Well, what do you think of Marco Silva start as Watford manager?
Definitely good. Like he, at least from Swedish experts, they were not sure about Marco Silva as a manager. And I think they're getting a bit shut up right now because this is a great start for Watford. Like against Bournemouth last season, they probably would have been a draw, maybe a 0-0, 1-1, or a loss for Watford, who were struggling. But they're just looking good. They're looking creative, and they're looking like they want to fight for Marco Silva. And if he can get them to do that, then I can expect Watford to finish mid-table. And not be in that relegation battle.
Do you think he'll be there next season, or do you think it? Because obviously they set their managers so frequently. What do you think his achievement this season will be to him to keep a job? Surely top 4 the way they're going.
Probably go to Udinese or Granada or something like that. Try and bring them up a bit. Granada, of course, were relegated last season from La Liga. Give them a shot there.
We'll see if that comes to fruition. We'll move to the other two teams occupying the top 4 at the moment, because currently it's Manchester United, Watford, Huddersfield and West Brom. We'll go to the Huddersfield game first. A 1-0 win over Newcastle. Did you see Moyes' goal?
Yeah, great goal. And Mounier, I thought it was Mounier who actually did the pass before, but it was actually Elias Kachunga. But that was a great bit of play, because he was not ready to get that pass, Kachunga. And he made a great pass back to Moy, who is looking like a really big deal for the Huddersfield side, which he of course was last season as well, on loan from City. But he won them that game because that was a really dull game.
I think that's going to be Newcastle's tactics, just stifle teams and try and nick goals up the other end with the pace of people like Atsu and Ritchie. I think Ritchie did have a good chance in this game, but Newcastle need signings, I think. But like you say, Moy, a fantastic player, shows what you can do. Getting him on a permanent from Man City shows what you can do if you spend a bit of money. And he looks, he shows why Man City bought him. Really, he looks like he can. He's running games at this moment in time.
He definitely does, and like Huddersfield they didn't really create that much. They possibly didn't try to create that much. They wanted to see how the game played out and not let, as you said, Newcastle's pace be a factor. And but Moy and Billing, like I was really impressed by Billing's performance as well, because he had a really decent defensive performance. Like Steve Mounier is looking like a good target player as well for Huddersfield, and I see why they bought him. I definitely see why they bought him, as well as scoring 2 goals in his debut. And they just need to sort out a bit of passing issues, because they lost a lot of the ball in that game, as well as Newcastle also did that. But it's just like the right back, Thomas Smith, of course,
Yeah.
and Sanka Jørgensen, Thomas Jørgensen, or Mathias Jørgensen rather. They tried to play out of from the defense and play like David Luiz balls, or just like Chelsea long balls towards the strikers with a bit more pace. But he wasn't really turning out for them. They kept missing and giving away the ball, and they were just under pressure the whole game.
Yeah, I think Huddersfield have to be happy with the start they've made to this season. 2 wins out of 2. They've got to be ecstatic with that. And
Title contenders?
I don't see why not. 3 points ahead of the current, top 4. So yeah, well, unbelievable stuff for them. They've got some tough fixtures coming up though. Oh no, wait, no, they don't. Sorry, I had the wrong team up. They have Southampton, West Ham, Leicester, Burnley, and then they play Tottenham, which may not even be difficult at that point. But they've got a really good run, and we could see them up near the top of that table. David Wagner's obviously got a very good team there, and he's got a very good style, and it really seems to suit the Premier League at this point. So don't be surprised to see Huddersfield in that top 4 come October, November, and then people may be whisperings of a Leicester, but I don't think they'll go that far. But
No.
But yeah, it's always really good, especially if people are tipping you to go down, to have a really good start to the season, and I think they are going to be definite beneficiaries of that with their fixture list. On the other side, with Newcastle, not impressed at all. No goals. John Joe Shelvey obviously missing for this one, which will disappoint them. But again, they go into some better fixtures. All these teams seem to be playing West Ham, but they have West Ham and Swansea as their 2 next ones. They'll be looking for at least 4 points out of those 2 games. Swansea look like if you score against them, they'll fall to pieces. That's the thing from the Man United game. And yeah, West Ham also look like the masters of their own downfall. So we'll see what Newcastle can do. What do you think of Newcastle? Have they gone up or down in your estimation, seeing them early stages, or?
Well, they won't get relegated, I don't think.
No?
If they might sack Benitez and make a comeback from that, but I don't see them going down, not with the kind of resources they have, or don't have, according to Benitez. So no, I don't see them going down, but they're definitely going to be in that relegation battle.
The other team occupying that top 4 spot then, and no stranger to the Champions League, Tony Pulis. He West Brom. With a very good win, I think. Burnley obviously beat Chelsea last weekend. Probably went into this game as favourites, considering that victory. But West Brom, 2 1-0 wins in 2 games. I think that really says it all. And there's Hal Robson-Kanu,
super sub,
doing his best Cristiano Ronaldo impression. Coming on, scoring the winner, getting sent off. It was lovely to see. It was fantastic to see. I actually had he's the 4th player in Premier League history to get subbed on, score a goal, and then get sent off. Do you want to? We were going to do this with Michael, but he's unfortunately had to disappear. But I don't know if you wanted to attempt to name the other 3, Elias. Any chances?
I don't want to.
I'll give you one. One you'll get, because he's a big lad. I think you're a huge fan of his. He was a striker at Fulham, Brighton, who are now in Premier League team, Tottenham, and West Ham.
Bobby Zamora.
It was Bobby Zamora, correct.
Oh man.
David Lee for Chelsea, and Ivan Klasnic, I think he's the last person to do it.
For Blackburn.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Is he applying his trade in Serie A now, or is that this might be Kalinic?
No, it must be. Yeah, it must be another guy.
My apologies, getting all the names mixed up.
All the Croatians.
All the Croatians. Too many Croatians to name. Yeah. Some of them good, some of them quite bad. So yeah, that's all the games wrapped up. I don't know if you wanted to add anything. Oh, we'll talk about our feature, our MVP of the week that we're going to be naming. I haven't actually thought of mine, so I'm going to let you go first. And if you name Marcus Alonso, I'm going to.
I'm naming Marcus Alonso. I'm naming Paul Pogba, because. Yeah, he's had a great start to the season, and he's really bossing teams which he should be doing now with Matic by his side.
Yeah.
He's looking like a real engine and a real superstar for that Man United team, so that's why I'm picking him.
Oh, right, okay. Well, I think I'm going to go with Jesse Rodriguez. I think he's really changed that. Well, just one game he's changed what we thought of Stoke, literally just with one result. And I think if he keeps that level of performance up, he's going to be huge for Stoke's season. So that's all right. Maybe we'll get Michaels and put it on Twitter later. We'll have to find out what he thinks.
What's our Twitter, Phil?
Oh, our Twitter is @InTheMixerShow. If you wanted to go follow us
okay.
over there, and if you wanted an email by any chance, are you interested in email, Elias? Because if you are, just contact us at inthemixerpodcast@gmail.com, and we will read out your questions and answer them probably here on the podcast and give you a little cheeky shout out as well. I think you wanted to mention something about Alan Pardew as well, didn't you? Just quickly.
Oh yeah, Alan Pardew, who is now a respected pundit. He's a pundit on national TV now in England, who also has got a few things to say about Lukaku's start of the season, which I find really weird. He's apparently been saying that Lukaku's movement is not good enough for Man United, and he's praying for United to get Zlatan Ibrahimovic back, which I find completely just plain out stupid. He's scoring goals for United. He doesn't need to do anything else. He scored 2 goals on his debut, and he scored 1 against Swansea. Can you ask for anything more from the man? Just wait out and see what he can do against the bigger teams.
So this was on the after the Swansea game.
I think so. Yeah.
Wow. Alan Pardew, a man of many talents. Being a football manager isn't one of them. Nor is being
He
a
has a
pundit.
Swedish wife.
Does he?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's trivia.
Parjevics. Probably. I don't know. Yeah. So Alan Pardew, what a way to end. What a way to cleanse your palate, listeners. Just a nice gulp of Alan Pardew to let the whole podcast go down. Well, me and Elias would like to say goodbye. Michael, I'm sure, does as well.
You say say goodbye next week.
Yeah, he'll say goodbye next week, and hello, because we'll obviously have a new episode. So we'd like to thank you very much for listening. Goodbye from Elias, and last words.
Last words is probably that I'm looking forward to the game tomorrow, City versus Everton.
Yeah,
it's going to be a good game, I think, and we'll see if City can do against a quote-unquote bigger side, Everton. See how their signings do.
We'll see
how Everton signings do, of course. See if they're starting Gylfi Sigurdsson.
We'll see if Man City find the toffees a bit sticky.
Whoa.
Hey. Yeah, so end on a pun, lovely. Yeah, so thank you very much for listening, guys. We've been in the mixer, and we'll
catch you in the mixer.
We'll catch you in the mixer. See you in the mixer. Get it in the mixer. In the mixer. Bye, guys. See you later.
What was that?